Welcome back to FM Story. We ended the last episode 1 point clear at the top of the table. We've got big games coming up against Real Madrid, who are currently sitting in second, Real Sociedad, Sevilla and Valencia. We've also got the Europa League knockouts beginning. So let's get going. If you do enjoy the video, please like, subscribe and comment. And without further ado, let's get started. We're starting things off with the game against Real Madrid. Home game, first versus second. We are 1 point clear of Real Madrid, 3 points clear of Barcelona. So a pretty big game in hopefully kind of keeping our title hopes going. Since the end of the last episode, we've played one game, which was a cup game against Levante, which we won 2-1. We really were not very good at all. We still had the same problems in defence in terms of people being injured and suspended. And we were playing against 10 men for 75 minutes. They took the lead. We did not look like scoring, but then somehow managed to get 2 in 2 minutes in the 86th and 87th minute to secure a victory. But we're obviously going to have to be much better for this Real Madrid game. So going into the game against Real Madrid, we've got only a couple of players that would be missing from the first choice team. Ander Kappa is on the bench. Been out injured for a few weeks, definitely not ready to start. Unai Venkador's injured as well, and fit enough to be on the bench, but not enough to sort of start this game. Obviously, they've got a pretty decent team that we're playing against, and a pretty decent bench to be able to change things. I mean, if you've got Toni Kroos, Gakpo, Pulisic, somehow they signed Oliver Skip, but they've got some serious players on the bench to be able to change things. Hopefully, with it being a home game, we can get a decent start and get the crowd on our side. Nico Williams, Javi Lopez, Herrera. That's offside. Shoot, I think it must be offside. It certainly looks a couple of yards offside. Yeah, too good to be true. We went far too early. I mean, all in all, considering we have been nothing of an attacking threat in this game, you've got to be happy with it being 0-0 still at half time. Javi Lopez, Muniain. Oh, should have probably squared it. Nico Williams is struggling. I'd love to make some changes in a minute, I think. Oh, not him. Absolutely no one anywhere near him. It's a decent finish. Since the game against Real Madrid, we've not had the best of runs in all competitions. We are still sitting up near the top of the table, but we are now third, and we're 5 points behind Real Madrid. Obviously, they took over ahead of us after beating us in the league. So after the Real Madrid game, we played Espanyol in the cup and went behind early on. Well, so we took the lead, they equalised. We took the lead again, they equalised, and then Bilabo picked up another 2 goals later on to give them a total of all 4 of our goals. We then beat Real Sociedad 2-1. Again, they took the lead, and we were really dependent on Bilabo's goals to get back into that one. We followed that up by losing away at Atletico Madrid in the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-finals. really just weren't at the races at all, pretty much like we were against Real Madrid. Sevilla, we beat 3-0. We were 2-0 up when they had to play sent off. It was a fairly comfortable win. First leg of the UEFA Europa League knockout round. We beat Hertha Berlin 1-0. A late goal from Nico Williams. Suffered an injury to Javi Lopez, which had a bit of a knock-on effect on how things have gone since that game. But we got a 1-0 victory at home to take into the second leg. Almeria, we got a late equaliser and didn't play very well. Then the return leg against Hertha Berlin, we conceded a goal on the hour. Didn't really do an awful lot. You can tell by some of the performance ratings that we just really didn't perform. They took the lead on aggregate in extra time. We fired everyone forward, very attacking, and nicked an equaliser from Raul Garcia. And then we missed our first 2 penalties in the penalty shootout. And if you miss 2 penalties, you're almost always going to lose. And we lost 4-2 on penalties. So that was the end of our European adventure for the season. We bounced back from that with a comfortable win against Las Palmas, who were bottom of the league. Again, Bilabo picked up another couple of goals. Even Martin came off the bench and picked up his first goal since he joined us on loan. Then, Atletico Madrid, we took an early-ish lead, went down to 10 men just before the hour when Imanol was sent off for a bad tackle. As we got towards the last sort of 15-20 minutes, we started firing men forward to try and get the goal that would equalise it on aggregate and take us into extra time. They broke from a corner and ended up with Morata through on goal, and he just dinked over Unai Simon to give them the draw on the night and a 3-1 victory on aggregate. Then at the weekend following that, we played against Espanyol. Took a very early lead through Inaki Williams, which is one of the most bizarre goals I think I've ever seen. In fact, one of the most bizarre goals I've ever seen, this first one. I'm not quite sure what the defenders thought, what the defender and the goalkeeper thought they were doing, but the defender basically passes it along the goal line. The goalkeeper controls it and walks away, and then Inaki Williams pops in just to tap it into an empty net. Really bizarre goal. And then our most recent game against Rayo Vallecano, they took the lead. First highlight, free kick, edge of the box into the top corner. We equalised. They then took the lead early on in the second half, and we just didn't have anything in the second half to get us back into the game. So coming up, we've got a game against Valencia, and then we've got a couple of big games towards the end of the season with Atletico Madrid and Villarreal as well. But in terms of the league, I mean, we're 15 points clear of Betis in fourth place. So if we don't finish in the top 3, something's seriously wrong here. I mean, in terms of like individual performances, Villabra's got 30 goals in the league this season. Muniain's got 15 assists. They're all kind of performing. We are doing better than we were last season, but given the unbeaten run we had at the start of the season, the kind of collapse in the last month or two, I mean, obviously you would expect to get beaten by Real Madrid, but from going from 4 to 7 points ahead of them to 5 points behind them isn't great, and we're going to have to really pick it up in the end of the season if we want to even challenge for second. Going into the game against Valencia, the board and the supporters don't seem to expect an awful lot from us there. So going into the game against Valencia, we've got a few issues. Andacap is suspended, Venkato suspended, Nico Williams isn't fit, Aymar's injured. We're kind of really going to need to sort of shuffle the pack a bit. What we decided to go with is Unai Nunez at right back instead of Kappa. We're giving Moncayola a rare start in place of Venkador. Sunset's going to play behind Bilabo, which means Minayin can play on the left instead of Nico Williams. Given the last sort of month and a half of performances, it's important we get off to a decent start in this game. Pretty quiet opening to the game, but they've kind of cut us apart there. We're really kind of struggling to get anything in this game. We've nicked the ball back. Moncayola, Sunset. Martinez wide to Unai Nunez. Inaki Williams back to Nunez. Sunset. I think he hit the post there somehow. Simon to Unai Nunez. Vivian Moncayola. Right. But like our wide players seem to have acres of space, but we seem to be insisting on going through the middle. Sunset. Vilabra. What a save that is. I mean, that last game against Rayo Vallecano, they had 4 shots on target and scored twice. We had 10 shots on target and scored once. I thought that had gone in. Really poor performance so far. It's just going to be topped off by them nicking a winner, isn't it? I mean, Cavani was the best part of 5 yards offside for the whole of that attack. That's the strangest bit of attacking play I think I've ever seen in FM. Can we get the ball in the box and create something? Inaki Williams, try to find Sunset. That about sums up how the last month and a half has gone. Creating chances but not taking them, performance not really there. But at least I suppose we didn't get beat. It's time for our youth intake. We promised an excellent intake according to the star rating, but bearing in mind that we've got 2 centre midfielders that rate as an A and 1 winger that rates as an A, and the best is a D of the rest, then I suspect that we're not going to get as good an intake as we did last season. So it turns out we might actually have 3 decent centre midfielders. Looking at what we've got through, they do say it's an excellent intake. Elite talents, 3 central midfielders, a right winger, and then in top talent, another central midfielder and a left winger. Good talents, a goalkeeper. Right, so let's have a look at some of these players. So Oya Ramirez. It's going to be decent on the ball, but in terms of what we play, potential for that box to box, decent passing, decent vision, decent work rate, decent decision making. Also going to need to work on the physical side of things because he's lacking in that. The mentals are pretty good. And then, so the next one, Inigo Goicoechea. Very natural fitness, good jumping reach, decent acceleration at that age. Probably one for the centre midfielder defended role that we play. Although actually, it looks like he can play centre half as well. In fact, it looks like he's more. I mean, he's not really a centre half, I don't think, in terms of the heading and the tackling. But certainly that maybe is defensive of the 2 centre midfielders that we play. Potential to be a centre half as well, but would need a bit more developing on that one, and pretty 2-footed as well. Sangali is probably more the box to box with the potential to play as the shadow striker. But again, sort of good mentals, very good mentals, aggression, anticipation, decisions, off the ball, especially the teamwork, vision, work rate side of things. Another one that the physicals will need to come on a bit with. And then we've got Aitar Martinez, who is the right winger. Quick. So his physicals are better. Flair, aggressive, good technique, good dribbling. Going to have to work on some of the other technical things, but decent potential there. Right. So Oda Diaz is more of a box-to-box midfielder. Again, good teamwork, some good physicals there. Pretty small, but good passing, good work rate. That's a potential, another decent potential player. And then the left winger, Prieto. Probably going to need a bit more, probably not as high level potential as the other players we've seen so far. And then let's have a look at the good talents of the goalkeeper. I mean, in terms of playing out from the back, we're going to need to improve his kick in and first touch and passing. But obviously he's only 15, so a goalkeeper's going to develop. And he's probably already our third best goalkeeper looking at that. Pascual. So we tend to play with the shadow striker behind the front man. There's some work to be done there. He might even end up being... It's not going to play up front, and we might have to develop him into more of a central midfielder, potentially. And then the other good talent is another left-sided player. But yeah, if that's a good talent, then the poor talents are going to be... The decent talents aren't going to be great, are they? But obviously the key to managing an athletic club, you need these good young players coming through, because obviously you can't play players that aren't Basque, so it's going to require a lot of youth players coming in and then nicking players off other clubs as well. So at least we've got a decent few players coming through. Last season's intake was probably better than this season's, but it's going to be required to build as the save goes on. And that's the end of this episode. Join us next time when we should be able to guarantee our place in the Champions League for next season and see how high we can finish in the league. See you then.